All right, we're nearing noon. We're a bit late today. No worries. Um, Truly, I don't even know where to go with this. This morning, we uh, we came into the studio and started trying to get some work done, and I think the mind just kind of shifts out of focus, and but that's all right. But we just want to stick, at least just stick with the schedule and be present, be here. We're not too worried about what we do, and we don't want to limit what God or His Spirit can do through us, even when we're not prepared or feel we're prepared or ready. Technically, we haven't been prepared, this entire time. Any of these live streams, we just start talking. I don't know what I'm going to share or talk about. It's just, talk and see what happens. Well, let's start with our reading. It was in the 15th year of the rule of Tiberius Caesar. These men were under Caesar: Pontius Pilate, the governor of Judea; Herod, the ruler of Galilee; Philip, Herod's brother, the ruler of Iturea and Trachonitis, Lysanias, and Lysanias, the ruler of Abilene, none of which I know were pronounced correctly. Ananias and Caiaphas were the high priests. During this time, John, the son of Zechariah, was living in the desert, and he received a message from God. So he went through the whole area around the Jordan River and told the people God's message. And this is one of the things that I've been highlighting recently. Every time I read, as I look for these areas where it talks about God's message, because it's really all I'm trying to do. All I want to do here is just share God's message. And I think that we need to continue to share it through culture, through our societies, because there's forces and entities that want to erase it. And I trust that you can't erase it, that God is in control and He's going to get His message out no matter what. But I am that no matter what. I've lived my life and I've gone and done my own way for a long time. And without getting into my testimony, God turned my heart also and changed my life, and now has given me this unshakable desire to give him glory. And his glory comes through my sacrifice by surrendering my desire for the betterment of others and for the will of God. And so for him, I just share his message. And I think that if you come to know Christ, if you're a Christian and you come to know Christ, that's great for you, good for you. But what then are you going to do for God, right? Like, where is your heart now? Do you have a heart to share his gospel? Do you have a heart to tell your testimony? Do you have a heart to sacrifice of your own desires for God and for your neighbors? To stop and help the Samaritan, metaphorically, to see someone in need and to surrender your own time and your own pleasure to help, and to serve the Lord and to promote his message, or to do his will in your life. Like, do you have that? Are you doing that? And if you're not doing it and you have that, what is holding you up? Where is your barrier? Where is your fear that keeps you from giving God glory? And that's primarily what my focus is because I called myself a Christian for a long time. I had no idea what that meant. I thought I knew, and I thought I was great and good with God, but he had other thoughts. And until he showed me what his thoughts were, I was lost completely. And so God's message is very simple. You don't have to argue the nuances of the Bible and of faith, with anyone and everyone that comes your way. But God's message is simple. And that's what we're looking to extrapolate from this time is, what is his gospel? What do I see his gospel as? And what can I do to help you through my experiences to encourage you to be able to do the same? To face your fears. My fear is being right here, live, in front of a camera, and here we've been on YouTube now for 2 weeks, and we're already talking about diving into TikTok, where it's really a brutal arena. And I don't want to say a brutal arena, but it's certainly outside our comfort zone. It's it's certainly a place that would be difficult to navigate. But that's how important I believe it is to share God's message and to keep it in society and to keep the youth hearing it, because people are growing up without it. People are growing up without the message of God, without the love of God, without the understanding. And so it's our duty to share that and to surrender our comforts and desires, like being here when I could be anywhere else, but doing this because I love you, I care about you, and that love and care is just simply an extension of Christ through me, because without Christ, I would not love you and I would not care about you. I would be loving myself and caring about myself. So he told them to be baptized to show that they wanted to change their heart, and then their sins would be forgiven. This is like the words written in the book of Isaiah the prophet. There is someone shouting in the desert, "Prepare the way of the Lord. Make the road straight for him. Every valley will be filled, and every mountain and hill will be made flat. Crooked roads will be made straight, and rough roads will be made smooth. Then everyone will see how God will save his people." John's clothes were made of camel's hair, and he had a leather belt around his waist. For food, he ate locusts and wild honey. People came to John from Jerusalem and the rest of Judea, and from all the areas along the Jordan River. They confessed the bad things they had done, and John baptized them in the Jordan. Many Pharisees and Sadducees came to where John was baptizing people. Doesn't it seem like John would be the first pope? Yeah. Many Pharisees and Sadducees came to where John was baptizing people. When John saw them, he said, "You are all snakes. Who warned you to run from God's judgment that is coming? Change your hearts and show by the way that you live that you have changed. I know what you are thinking. You want to say, 'But Abraham is our father.' Well, that means nothing. I tell you, God could make children for Abraham from these rocks. The axe is now ready to cut down the tree. Every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire." The people asked John, "What shall we do?" And he answered, "If you have 2 shirts, share with someone who does not have one. If you have food, share that too." Even tax collectors came to John. They wanted to be baptized, and they said to him, "Teacher, what shall we do?" And he told them, "Don't take more taxes from people than you have been ordered to collect." The soldiers asked, "What about us? What should we do?" And he said to them, "Don't use force or lies to make people give you money. Be happy with the pay that you get." And I was thinking about this the other day. Don't use force or lies to get people to give you money. And I started looking at our advertising industry, our marketing and advertising industry, and I just wonder, like how many times you see an advertising or an ad, and it uses psychology to the deepest level to move you emotionally and to try to make this thing, out to be this savior item. Like, you need this item, it will change your life, it'll make your life better. And then some go so far as like having a very deceptive quality. And then they use this, these elements of beauty and music and, all of these techniques that just really just suck you in to this mindset of just desire. And I wondered if that was considered, if this could be considered a lie or art. Is this art? Are we making good art and beautiful commercials? And there's nothing wrong with making something beautiful, or at least there's a large gray area between beautifying something and then creating a deception. like a facade of a building. You want someone to come and shop in your building, but the building is near dilapidated and falling apart. So you go and you put up a facade to make people think they're walking into this really nice store, but underneath it's just rotten wood. That analogy was off the cuff. I don't know if that fits, but to what is it that there is to beautify something, to look natural, to be real, to say, this is a mug, this is a cup, it's for sale. I'm not trying to create some ad campaign to make you feel like it's going to do anything other than offer you a beverage. I don't know. I was thinking about that, using lies to make people buy something or to give you money. Be happy with the pay that you get. Everyone was hoping for the Messiah to come, but they wondered about John, and they thought, maybe he is the Messiah. And John's answer to this was, I baptize you in water, but there is someone coming later who is able to do more than I can. I am not good enough to be the slave who unties his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. He will come ready to clean the grain. He will separate the good grain from the straw, and he will put the good part into his barn. Then he will burn the useless part with a fire that cannot be stopped. John said many other things like this to encourage the people to change, and then he told them the good news. So he told them all of this to encourage them to change, and then he told them the good news. I guess there is a place for fire and brimstone preaching. John did it first. I don't know. I don't understand all of that. I tend to stay away from it personally. Well, if there were people here, we could ask for questions or comments or thoughts, but we still don't have people show up, and that's fine. We haven't done any sort of promoting of this channel. We haven't tried to make any beautiful thumbnails and lies. We're just happy to be here. It's challenging and difficult, but it's very rewarding every time we come on and we just kind of see how things develop. There was an idea coming in here, and Leela had said that what was it that you had said? I don't know what word she used, but she had made a reference to something that gave me the idea of, and this could be like an eternal mindset, but it's, what is the intended purpose of something? When something is created, it has an intended purpose in its creation. And the earth was created, the universe was created, our solar system was created. The sun and the moon, the stars, they all have a purpose, right? Everything is for times and seasons. The sun gives warmth. The moon plays an effect on our own solar system. And so there's this intended purpose, and these larger purposes, just like trees giving oxygen, or tides moving water, we can't affect those purposes. And at least maybe it's a big debate, a world debate that, if humanity is affecting these purposes, then how do we curb that? But if we think eternally minded of things created and what is the intended purpose of these creations, let me give you a list of a few in a list. One would be fire, right? Fire is a natural element, and it has an intended purpose to provide warmth. And that's seen easily in the sun. One of those elements, that one of the entities that we cannot affect is the sun, right? It's just there. And it gives off the perfect amount of warmth for us. And if it was just a little bit closer, a few degrees closer, we would be consumed. We would die. Everything on earth would die. And if it was just a few degrees further, we would be ice cold and everything would be frozen. So here the sun producing this fireball is at the right exact distance continually from the earth. The earth is continually the exact right distance, even to the point that our tilt produces extreme colds and extreme heats from which we have to find balance in. We can't live and survive in some of these areas. So what is the intended purpose of fire? The intended purpose of hunger, of food. Our bodies need nourishment, and it tells us when it needs nourishment by producing a trigger or a feeling that makes us hungry. It gives us a feeling of hunger, and it signals to us, I need nourishment, I need food. The intended desire, the intended need for that hunger is to keep us alive, so that we would eat and know when to eat at the optimal time. But then we can be gluttonous, and we can eat for the sake of fulfilling the pleasure sensors and the taste sensors, and then we can go beyond the intended purpose. Pleasure in procreation. We were created to procreate, to continue life. It would be really cool if I could make pottery that could get together and make pottery of themselves. Then I could sit back and just let them make pottery and just see what they make. And if I created a process by which different pieces of pottery could get together and make pottery, then you would create this infinitely beautiful cascade of individual, unique pieces. But pleasure, why we have pleasure in procreation, I don't know. Maybe if there wasn't pleasure, we wouldn't do it, because the pain of childbirth is so great. But there's pleasure in procreation as an intended purpose, but yet if we go beyond that intended purpose, then we begin to hurt ourselves and our societies. And then another one would be alcohol. Think of like an alcohol or a fermented beverage. It says God blessed his people with grapes and vineyards for these things. Their celebrations, they were commanded to drink and to celebrate and to spend their tithe monies on strong drinks. And all of this is part of what I believe is just part of bringing us to a state of celebration. But yet it can be used outside of its intended purpose. And so these are some things that I just quickly jotted down. And when I didn't really know where all this was going, but Leela had mentioned that coming in the door. And it struck a memory. So there's things in life that have an intended function that God created. And I think that we need to focus on trying to weigh these things within us, because that's what I say. Like, we're trying to live by our conscience to serve God. Let him lead you. Don't go by what I say, but just think on these things. We all know that if you have a drink, an alcoholic beverage, the right amount can produce a really wonderful effect of uplifting, well-being. Who knows? We all know. But then there is an amount that begins to have the opposite effect. And so these things that we have, weigh them out in your life, start to think on them, let your conscience guide you, and just say, Lord, I ask you to put on my heart, reveal to me, let me know. I'm open and available. Let me know if there's anything in my life that I need to rein in and to either stop using or to begin using for its intended purpose in a healthy manner, in the way at which it was created. And this will be one of those things that will be a way we can live today to help us be eternally minded, because we bring our mind and our body under subjection into this world so that we can have the best possible chance to glorify God and to love others. And I would say, in going down that list, I was thinking of greed, gluttony, envy, wrath, anger, like what do they call them? The 7 deadly sins. But maybe think on those. Think in terms of the overarching effects that you may struggle with. For instance, if you feel like you could be a glutton, then what are you gluttonous of? What are you taking into your flesh, or even your mind? Social media, too much social media, and you know, there's nothing wrong with sitting all day long on social media. There's nothing wrong with sitting all day long, spending your life in the internet. It is a way of life for a lot of people. You could be just like this and be, you know, putting yourself out there, and that's, you know, that's where your business is. But then there's the other side where you know that you're sitting there consuming the wrong types of information, the wrong types of content. You're watching people die. You're watching people beat each other up. You're watching people fight. You're watching people hurt themselves for the sake of views. Like, these are very, very unhealthy things to watch. So food, what you take into your eyes, what you take into your mouth, what you're listening to, you are what you eat. You are what you put in you. And that goes with food. It goes with your eyes. It goes with your ears. And so let's start thinking on intended purposes. What are the intended purposes of the things in our life, and what can we do to start asking the Lord to help us bring them into check, so that we live healthy lives here, focused on our eternal mindset. That's all. All right. Thank y'all so much. Be blessed today. And let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you have any ideas where this to go. If you want to help, if you feel moved by it, let me know. We're here to help. All right. Thank y'all so much. Take care.